everyone, my name is Favor and I'll be explaining this physics problem. So today I'll be looking at analysis model using Newton's second law. In this example, we're looking at one block pushes another. So we have a system and there are two blocks beside each other, and then a force is exerted on the system. So the first question says, determine the magnitude of the acceleration of the system. The second one says, determine the magnitude of the contact force between the two blocks. So for the first question, we're looking for the magnitude of the acceleration that is exerted on this system when a force is exerted on the two masses together. So for this, we know that according to Newton's second law, the summation of forces is equals to the mass times the acceleration. And in the system, since there are two masses and they're in contact with one another, we can represent this mass as m as a summation of the first mass and the second mass, which is m1 plus m2 multiplied by the acceleration of the system. So from this, we can just make acceleration the subject of the formula. And we can do that by dividing both parts by the summation of the masses. So this would be the magnitude of this acceleration acting on the system. In the second question, we're asked to determine the magnitude of the contact force between the two blocks. Okay, so we have the two blocks. This is M1, this is M2. If a force is exerted on the entire system and M2 and M1 are in contact with one another, so that means there will be a force exerted on the full system and the force is exerted on M1, so that means there will be a contact force between these two blocks, M1 and M2. We can call that force, we can represent it by P. And we can say, since this is block M1 and this is block M2, we can say the contact force between M1 and M2, which we can represent it as this, and that's also equals to this. This simply means the force exerted on mass 2 by mass 1, and that's also going to be equal to the force exerted on mass 1 by 2. So for this force, we can say that according to Newton's second law, the force is equals to the mass times the acceleration, and we can just use one of these and say, since this is the force, which is the contact force between them, so we can say P12 will be equals to the mass. So this is the force acting on 2 by 1, which will be the mass of 2 times the acceleration of the system. Now, if you remember, we found from the previous example the magnitude of acceleration, so we can just substitute it back into this equation and say that P12 would be equals to mass 2 times the acceleration, which is force over the masses, summation of the masses. So this would be equals to M2, we can rewrite this as M2 over this times force, plus M2 multiplied by the force. So this is the magnitude of the contact force between these two blocks. Thank you so much for watching and join me in the next video.